4th, 2024. 7 o'clock start time. We have online one of the commissioners, Neil Stanley. Neil, you can hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Good
Okay, thank
evening.
you. Noel is not present at the meeting, either online or in person. She's had something come up where she's not going to be able to be here. So we have the minimum form for required to have a open meeting. So we will continue the meeting, and that may affect your decisions to do things. So that's fine. So we will open the meeting with the continuation of the notice of intent for 217 Hartford Avenue, 700,000 square foot warehouse. I won't get all the stuff in the description because we've read it many times. Yes.
You can't open it.
What's that?
You don't think you can open it, because if you open it and she's not in attendance, then she vacates her ability to vote.
Right. So I will, just having read that that is the first item on the agenda, I haven't said we're going to actually open it.
Yeah,
Does the applicant have anything that they'd like to state before we decide to open?
other than that we request a continuance to your next available.
Okay, now we need to hear that formally for the record, because Hannah, you guys still told Hannah before I got here.
Okay.
Okay, so the applicant has requested a continuance to the next available hearing date, and we will now decide what that date should be.
If they're okay with it being the February 28th, that would be the,
Our 14th agenda is very full, whereas we maybe give you a bit more time, I think, on the 28th, if that's amenable to you. Plus, I think the information we received from our consultant and your ability to be able to have responses to that, which is always great to have already one full back and forth, may be able to be done in that period of time. Does that make sense to you all? Rather than just getting the first set of comments, we're talking about them at the next meeting in 2 weeks, for example, but then not being able to have your responses maybe in time, or to have both sets and have a fuller discussion perhaps.
I think it makes sense, I think with what we'd like to do, and we've already started going through, and I've already started constructing responses. Without getting into all the substantial detail, those comments are thorough, as you'd come to expect from Matt, and appropriate. They're very much of the construction level detail variety. It kind of affirmed that we're in the right spot from a mitigation standpoint, and the design is where it needs to be. It's just there's an additional level of embellishment that he wanted to see some construction directives that we're already working. What personally I think would be appropriate, provided the commission agrees, would be for us, as we're constructing those responses and then updating the appropriate plans for it, would be to have a working session with Matt and Hannah, and if Steve wants, or whoever wants to attend, to review the responses that we've constructed, the updates that we've made, the plans, so that when we come to you on February 28th, that we can make the most efficient use of your time and ideally have reached some level of theoretical consensus with Matt, at least on the right track. Pending, of course, the commission affirming everything that we think we know. But I think that makes sense, and it allows us to continue to move things forward while we're effectively waiting a month to appear back in front of the commission.
Well, you're being able to respond to Matt's initial and BSC's initial comments on the wetland side of things, not to mention the engineering side, which I'm sure you're working on too.
Those are done. So
Okay.
BSC has one of the things we were going to provide an update for. BSC, as part of the technical review, stormwater things that weren't wetland specific, has completed their review, and on January 3rd, I think it was, issued a letter in the affirmative stating that they have no more technical comments. Everything we've revised has been satisfactory to them, including the drainage design. So that part is closed.
I think a workshop with Matt would allow us to just make sure we've interpreted all his comments correctly. We're providing all of the information that he's seeking. Doesn't obviously preclude the commission from layering in more and.
Well, I anticipate the commission,
obviously,
given the number of comments that Matt has made, your responses potentially to
Yeah.
those, and other points that we or Matt may come up with between them, that there will be substantial additional stuff that's not the however many comments there were in that total would be there. I'll seek advice from the commission. What's your feeling? Do you want to allow another workshop with the stated purpose of refining and clarifying the comments that Matt has already submitted to them and to us for their ability to allow them to be able to prepare a response, which we will be reviewing at our next meeting with them. And that's not gonna be reviewed or signed off on, just to be clear for the record, at the workshop. How do you feel about that?
I'm in favor. They've been productive and the conversation is a little freer in that environment, which is on its own more productive. As I've voiced before, it's very collaborative and suggestive, and we seem to get through the aspects of the questions faster and more thoroughly. Would you guys agree to that?
How long were the last work, how long was the
They're
last?
usually
workshop?
maybe an hour to hour.
Which is about double what you get in a meeting.
Yeah.
Although we don't sometimes and put you guys on again later.
Yeah.
Okay,
So short answer is for me, yes.
Neil, what do you feel? Any opinion?
If I can find my mute button.
There you
Yeah. No, I think as long as we're making progress, it's productive and we're getting some of the technical details worked out. I think that's a good use of our time.
Okay. Ariane, how do you feel?
I agree. Be nice if we had our peer reviewer here with us to provide input as well.
I did talk briefly to Matt just to encourage him that, given both the anticipation that you may want to continue, which you have, as well as the fact I didn't want to, in the half hour we have, with a hard stop needed at 8 o'clock, and I have to leave, and that will end the meeting because we won't have a quorum after that. We probably he would be better off not making the trip in for sitting in for 10 minutes just to hear that we're continuing, and he agreed. So he did tell me that in general, because I asked that question, if they wanted to do another workshop, how did he feel? He had the same kind of opinion and comments that Steve had. So, you and administrator,
Administrator lady agrees.
you're good. Okay, because you've both been participating, for the record, Hannah and Steve have both been participating in these workshops as representatives of the town, and so their insights as people are gonna make sense. Okay, so having heard that and the input, Hannah, do you have time? Just say something.
Yep, right now they're the first ones.
So I'll accept a motion to continue this hearing for 217 Hartford Avenue to the evening of February 28th. And there are 29 days in at 7 p.m. Just for now, time to be confirmed, but probably will.
Yeah, we'll touch base tomorrow, and
So moved.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Neil, for the record, just saying aye. Thank you, Neil, and others. So it's unanimous. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Short night, but appreciate it.
Brianna, do you want to reach out to Matt and find some dates and times that work between now?
I'll circle up here in the morning.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Do a straw poll of the room and just get a sense, is everyone else here for 17 Bellstone? Oh, I'm sorry, who else is here for 17 Bellstone, which is the next item on here?
One.
Okay, do you anticipate any abutters and neighbors wanting to be here for this?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so I just want to get that question resolved. We are a little bit ahead of because of this continuance, where we would be normally, so I'd like, if you're willing to wait a few minutes to take the advantage of the time to go through some of these other points.
Yeah.
And get them out of the way. There's some other business or less than minor. And so we'll ask the administrator to take the lead on this, and she's provided this list for us, and we'll move through those.
Yeah, the first one is Fox Run Road, and I do want to hit that tonight because I did do a site visit on Monday afternoon, and so I have updated pictures, which I'll share on
Was
this.
they already the ones on the portal? Or we have additional ones? 'Cause there
I
was-
just added them this afternoon.
Well,
so
I
if
did see
you
some- I
saw
did see some that.
Snowy,
Yes, no.
yes.
Okay, yeah. Maybe on any others. Okay.
So let me.
Have you had a chance to see them? Are you gonna do the magic? Oh, there they are. I was gonna say, put them, there.
So, no, I don't want audio.
Which would be you traipsing through the snow.
So I went back there. This is the most updated stuff because it was this week. You can see on the bordering his property is actually a hay swaddle. Is this swaddle or wattle?
Wattle.
Wattle.
W-A-T-T-L.
I got
Are
swaddles
these
on my-
wattle? They're in the portal.
I just added them this afternoon though.
Is that actually just a berm?
Yeah, so I mean, let me scroll down.
It's not a drainage swale with earth there.
It's really a minor trench that water is trickling down, and the higher end is what's on his property. And then there's a picture, let me scroll a little bit back. I'll go back,
Oh,
but
there it is. It's a strip.
yeah, do you see that?
Oh, it's old silt fence.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was the intention of it being permanent, because we never took it out.
I would suspect it's an oversight.
Yeah,
Usually we do not intend to leave those in.
so this.
Yeah, we usually
picture-
put that in the OOC.
Well, I think this was the town's doing.
Yeah, I don't, given that this wasn't probably for the property owner, I don't think we were requiring anybody else to pull them. Probably the town should have, if they were doing drainage work, if that's an actual entrenched swale and not just a natural depression that's been
Right.
added to by having the swale, and with the plan of trenching it deeper, because I know there was talk about that back. All right, so one of the things that I think we had identified, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we needed to figure out exactly how much of the proposed back in the day swale and so forth could still be done reasonably, what the impact might be to the conservation property, and then would that be a benefit? And this may be an engineering comment, not us. Whether that would really benefit the situation. We don't want to do something and have it be worsening the effect of what's been going on for water flow, surface flow and so forth.
Right, so, yeah, just to update people on some conversations I had in the past week or so. This picture shows it well, like this is the very end, not the very end, this is where the end of the trench is, but it was clear that it kept going up at one time, but now it's flat. Just over time.
The land.
The land itself has shifted. And after talking to the town administrator, Dennis, he was pro us discussing using some town funding to get an engineer and to see if we should keep the same solution or have a new solution.
Sure.
The rest of the pictures on here are his property and just like how it's damaged. You can see half of these trees are dead from over flooding. I guess flooding is flooding, but it's all ice and with water underneath. So, I mean, I went out there, it is very clear that it's been hurting his property for years.
Well,
So,
and we don't definitively know that it's all coming from the conservation land.
okay, so that was the other thing I figured out as well, because there was confusion about which which direction the water was going. It's definitely going west to east,
which
so
means
uphill, downhill.
From the conservation land to.
It's heading towards the conservation
Okay,
land.
so it's flowing, so the source of the water, as far as we can tell, do we have that determined?
The source of the water is a mix of the Whitehall Way, which I forget that's Bellingham Estates.
Yeah, probably.
And just being the top, Fox Run Road is the west side is high.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so it's coming from the properties along Fox Run Road as well as from Bellingham Estates.
Right.
And impacting one or two of the people on Fox Run Road the most with water flow. But it's ultimately heading to, does it end up, if it wasn't frozen, do you think, into the conservation property? Could you determine?
So this picture right here is the chunk of water that goes towards his property, and then the trench that you saw, it does lead to the conservation. This
So that would be
is
true.
leading towards, so probably the farthest. Wait, can you see my mouse? Okay, yeah, like this tree,
Yeah.
that's probably the end of the neighbor's property and enters
So
conservation.
conservation is far distant with so far, and the
Correct.
water is flowing in that direction.
Yes.
Along the trench, but maybe not over the neighbors' properties who are being flooded.
What?
Yeah.
So it's too much water or it's not drained properly. Okay. All right, Neil, you have a comment? Go ahead.
No, my comment was what?
What? Okay. So I think, having gotten a good sense of this, thanks for the pictures, Hannah, I'm gonna recommend that the, commission work or give Hannah the authority to work with us, and with the town administrator, Dennis, to find an engineering, landscape, water, science, whatever, hydrology expert who can take a look at the property whenever it makes sense. It may not be immediately because of the weather conditions, but whatever makes sense, and come up with a real plan that makes some sense with parameters of where and how things would be excavated if necessary.
Did we find the original plans?
I have found,
Because this was
Or-
on it.
I have found like 4 massive files that have everything in relation to Bellingham Estates, and so I haven't found the plan yet, but if I am going to find it, it will be in those 4 stacks.
So we have some additional research to do, but I think we want to move forward with it. We want to tell, is anybody here for this project? Discussion?
Which project?
There's some issues with water infiltration. I don't remember the numbers on Foxton Road.
36 Fox Run Road was,
I'm on Candlelight Lane.
oh, okay.
But
Okay,
Oh.
so you're Bellingham
Yeah,
Estates.
I'm here. Scott is here.
Oh,
I'm here.
I'm sorry, somebody's online. Go ahead, identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Hannah, it's Scott McClory.
Okay. And you
I'm at
are,
36 Fox
Okay.
Road.
okay, so you are one of the affected people.
yes.
Well, I'm
Okay.
the main,
The
the
He
main,
is the guy.
the main person be affected. Okay, thank you.
yes,
Okay, yeah, so I want to make sure that you, in this case, since you are the most affected person and have brought this to our attention again, are aware that of what we're saying, so you're hearing us, okay? Yeah,
Yes.
so our plan is the town has given us some support, potentially financially as well as administratively. We want to address what we can for this. I will caution to say that I'm not promising anything yet until we know better, but except for the fact that we are going to move forward with trying to get some realist, determination of exactly how the water is going and what we can do to, if it's possible, improve it, without, promising anything specific yet at this point. Does that make sense to you?
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, this has been an ongoing thing. Like I said, it's been, almost 15 years now, so.
I was just gonna say, I've been on the commission for 15 years, and I think it was one of the earliest things I had come up during a meeting, some issues about surface water in Foxton Road, and that was about the extent of my memory on it. So I wasn't unaware of it, but yeah, it's been a lot of years. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll make some good progress with it. It may be a little weather dependent. I want to reinforce that because they may say, yeah, I can give you some opinions now, but if they get someone that's qualified, but it'd be better if I can wait another month or so till the snow melts or whatever. I can see groundwater, flow better and so forth. We want them to do it right if we're gonna do something. So we will keep you appraised. You can reach out to Hannah as you have already, and she can give you the latest updates as they become available. And when it makes the next sense, we can bring it up in a meeting.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention and interest.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Should I go to Matt for suggestions? Like, should we stay within BSC? If
Um,
it's not him,
I
someone
think
else?
he could maybe recommend somebody if Dennis doesn't know, so between the two of them, we can come up
Okay.
with somebody, I think,
Okay,
for wetlands hydrologist or whatever, I think hydrologist.
Jenna?
Yeah.
Is there a significance to the tree?
in that specific picture?
No, the one that's broken over.
Oh, you can just see that, maybe it potentially wouldn't have fallen in the recent storms, if it wasn't rotted.
Those trees were planted when we first moved in here. And from the water, getting into the root system, it's flooded them out. And I believe there's 12 of them back there. And now the ones to the high side are alive, but these ones are where the water really affects it. And those hemlocks all the way down the driveway to the side yard to
These,
the street.
Yeah.
And this is the front yard where the water is flooding out under my neighbor's house and then coming down the front. And it's killed all of these trees in the front here. So it's a significant amount of water that comes through that area.
Right,
And they raised that area probably 9 feet from what it used to be when it was the old Schaefer farm. So if you looked at the plans, their sewers, when they put the sewers in the streets, they raised them up about 9 feet higher than it was now, was back in the original day when Schaefer was there. So
Okay.
now it's caused all that water, their driveways come down at Bellingham Estates, come down at a steep slope. So all that water from them are coming right down into the woods through our yard, through my neighbor's yard at 40 and 32. So, but we're taking the brunt of it, getting the brunt of it into our yard, but then it just passes off to the neighbor's yard at number 40. So, this trench, my father goes out and cleans that, by himself because we're trying to keep the water out of the yard, but it just has not anything. So,
right.
it's just, it's like a disaster, basically. We've lost you know, so many trees that he planted in this yard because of that problem.
I understand. Pictures do, say 1,000 words, as they say.
Michael, is that trench part of the original drawing set, or is that something the neighbors have created to try and deal with this over the years?
No, somebody came in and did that. I believe it was Toll Brothers. They, if you go back to the,
Bellingham Estates, I believe.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
go back to the original plan, it was supposed to be a huge swale in there to catch the water and then direct it, you know, down, I guess maybe to the conservation, I don't know. But they just came in and dug a little trench by hand, and that was it. And
Toll Brothers was the developer?
yes,
Of Bellingham Estates.
and they were supposed to do that, the swale and whatever to catch the water before they received their bond back. So all they did was come out and dig a little hand trench, and the bond went back to them, and they walked away. And it's caused more headaches than if they had done what they originally supposed to do.
Okay, well, that's where the administrative part of the town's support may give some options if it's involving a former development problem that created the bulk, if not all, of this strange situation. But we'll have to determine that and revisit, and Hannah will work on getting into the files and working with the town administration. So she may reach out to you for some historical information if you're willing to provide it. And I know that we do want to do something if we can, but again, the right thing that's right for both the town and the people who are the property owners in that area too. We don't want to make it worse. We want to make it better if it's possible.
Yeah,
So,
see, the other
thank you.
quick thing
Yeah.
is
right.
it's not just 32, 36, and 40. This problem, if you talk to the highway department, they'll tell you the water goes out into the street. So what they have to do in the wintertime is every day they have to send a salt truck. So
Yeah.
it goes beyond 40. It floods even the neighbors that are past us down, down at the lower part where the water eventually makes its way to, So, I mean, it's a shame because, that they got to come out and sand the street. But that's when they got to come sand the street, it's in the wintertime, and that's all the water that comes across the front yard from, coming down from Bellingham Estates.
Okay. All right, thank you. Appreciate that, that information and that, background. That's helpful.
Okay.
Okay, we want to, cover one or two more items.
Yeah, this doesn't need to be a full discussion tonight, but, the hunting regulations, so I have to. So as I had mentioned before, if we wanted to make the hunting regulations on conservation land more black and white, I think that we would have to bring a warrant to the town,
Or town meeting.
town meeting, and I think that's due at the end of February. So, and which I just found out, this past week, so. If it's something we're serious about bringing up, then, we have to start
Right.
working on that.
And as I had mentioned to Hannah, when she mentioned to me about this deadline for the town warrant, get warrant items on for the town meeting. Next town meeting, that first priority for me is to find out from our town council, who was unavailable when she tried to reach out to her, but is going to be again soon back in touch. Whether it's appropriate to go through a town warrant for something like this, because I just don't want to put something on the warrant, find out that what if even the town votes on it, I don't know, that town meeting that it's not appropriate or it violates some, whatever. And then we also should decide if we do want to do a warrant item, that we should figure out what works, what are we recommending? What are we asking the town to vote on?
Mike,
I was gonna ask, what is it, what's the end game for this? What are we trying to accomplish?
yeah, why are we trying to ban hunting?
I didn't say banned. I said that if we wanted to make it more clear, black and white, what people can and can't do, because right now there is no rules.
Oh, state rules.
No, there's no town, the rule. which I sent to you guys, is that if a hunter wanted to hunt on conservation or town, actually just town property, they're supposed to go to the select board and ask for permission. That's happened one time in Dennis's mind that he can remember. So there's just a bunch of people out there hunting on town property, especially conservation property, who aren't following the rules of getting permission.
So first
There's
of
just
all,
no regulation.
there's no sign in anywhere.
There's no
Is that-
signs, there's nothing. So if we're allowing it, let's appropriately allow it. If we're not, then we need to also, that's either way, it's changing or updating a regulation.
I think, Anna, this is a great subject for your open space to batter around, create a list of, as part of that plan. And
Yeah.
then generate the warrant and get it on the fall meeting.
Right. That's a good idea.
Neil,
So
did
does
you-
that clear that up, Neil?
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, thanks. So that's. good
it
on
just
that.
seems that whenever this discussion comes up, it's about prohibiting the use of conservation property by hunters.
Yeah, I don't know whether I suspect the town from a liability point of view is covered, but I would like to have our town council confirm that if someone is hunting on open space, town, conservation restricted property that we basically manage as Conservation Commission rather than just overall town property, that if somebody or a big gets hurt in some way, shot accidentally or something like that, or they shoot across a open space property and into somebody's yard or what is the impact of that? What is the impact to the town, to the Conservation Commission? Obviously, the people involved are gonna be affected too. So if we have nothing in place, is everybody liable? And this, I'm so excuse, but it's gonna be a problem. So we need to try to get some professional.
It's difficult to hold a municipality liable for anything.
Yeah, I realize that difficult doesn't mean that.
No,
we
it's,
protect ourselves all that.
even
But
if
yeah,
you
let's-
do, they're limited to pennies.
Yeah, perhaps that would be good to have that reinforced too. I agree, Neil. I've heard that before too about stuff from town and that may play out, but since there seems to be so little in actual practice being done, like one person in decades potentially that actually did what little we have in writing. We know there are lots of people who weren't and just, that raises a few questions. So yeah, I think having this continue with open space meetings, I think it's good. All right, I'm real.
Question on
Sure,
that.
go ahead. Yeah, Renee.
Is there anything in place that a hunt is supposed to be so far away from a personal residence before they hunt? Cause I
Yeah.
constantly see hunters, and you know where I live, you've been there.
Yeah.
I constantly see hunters behind my property.
There are,
That's fallen
there
to
are
state
strict,
requirements.
there are strict state laws that regulate that.
Yeah, you'd have to check, the town police department would probably be able to tell you which regulations the state, if they control that, regulate that. I want to say 100 feet, but I could be wrong and which.
200 is what's in my mind.
And that's what I believe it is.
But 100, 200 feet, a bullet goes a lot farther than that. So we all know that. So that seems like real close. If there was somebody shooting behind my house, like we're walking across your property with a gun in hand, that I'd want to make sure that they aren't shooting it while even pointing it away. And it's like,
That was my
okay.
concern about, that I think I brought up this discussion a couple meetings ago, was that like, if we don't allow hunting, people are still gonna hunt. They're
well,
just gonna do it.
yeah, we aren't saying we aren't going to allow, there's nothing in writing about any kind of restrictions on them other than going to the selectmen, which obviously is not happening. Somebody thought.
And I think to Hannah's point, in the absence of any of our own descriptions, instructions, rules, whatever you call it, it becomes an open forum. At least we have nothing with any meat to go to and say, you live here and this is way, so.
Yeah, or if somebody comes to us and says, I have conservation property near me and people are hunting on it, are they allowed to? We don't have a good answer other than yes, apparently they
Yeah.
are, if they've gone to the selectmen, but we don't have it posted, yeah, so. Okay, I'd rather move along to
And-
one other rule.
And mass state law says that landowners permitting use of their property for recreation without charging a fee are not liable for injuries to recreational users of the property. Unless there's willful misconduct by the property owner.
That's based on private land though, right?
Landowners,
Does that include town?
that
So,
includes,
Neil, you
someone-
guys-
that includes anyone that owns land.
That's saying they're not liable for an injury for the hunter.
To anyone. Any user of the property.
All right, well, I really
Not
want to.
clear.
I want to refer that back to the lawyer, like the town council, we pay them a lot of money, or not a lot, we pay them to help support us legally, and I think that's, let them bat that around.
Next.
Yeah, next, I'm gonna cover 236 Farm Street. There were pictures in the
Oh,
portal.
and it's, Mike, sorry, it's 500 feet,
500, okay, thanks.
500
I'm still not sure it isn't.
for a firearm.
Um, 236 Farm Street, urge you to look at the pictures. There was a anonymous letter sent to the town Conservation Commission pointing out that someone had spotted someone working on their property, landscaping, moving, cutting trees, doing some work that they felt was right near a wetlands area. I drove by, took some pictures. The left side of the, where you see the house and the property being worked on, just beyond that rock wall, there were some blue flags in the woods beyond that along Farm Street there. The house to the far distance in the top picture is 236 Farm Street. Scroll down. That's the area that's being worked on, I think that they're referring to along the stone wall there. There were a number of trees cutting, there's brush piled up there, as you can see in the lower picture, and then there should be one more with the dirt, but house, I think, that's the mailbox, but one more, yeah. So to the left there, it's, you'd have to zoom in, there's a lot of dirt on both sides of the house, big piles, so excavation and or landscaping is going on. I don't know, the next step will be to figure out whether that really is wetlands to the left of it, how close they are, where the property line is and so on, which we have not yet done. This person who sent the anonymous letter had no way of us responding. Maybe they're tuning into meetings and saying, but just want to let you know, we've taken a look at it. And when we get the opportunity to, we can pursue it a little further if they are encroaching on wetlands. I don't know if blue flags, what they exactly indicated. But it did look like it could be a potential wetlands area, resource area, which may or may not. That's the other thing we have to verify where that is on the town GIS. So that's an update on that. And now that it's 7:32, we'd like to provide, Robin, is that you?
Yes.
Robin Haddad, How do you say your last name?
Haddad.
Haddad, thank you, Robin Haddad, from 17 Bellstone has some information she'd like to provide about some property alterations.
Unless they're different.
There might be
Is it
some,
what you
like,
gave me?
So 17 Bellstone, clear cutting, drainage and alteration sites.
I'll give you these.
And also within 100 foot. Within 100 foot buffer zone. So this is an informational, if you can watch it, and just describe what you've seen there, and I think most of the commission members put out, what pictures, but if they're not, they can do so now.
The first picture shows my house. We live on Bellstone. It's a 22 houses. We built the house in 1994. My neighbor moved in 6 years ago. If you look at the second picture, you'll see that's his backyard. My backyard is the fence. He decided to fill in some of his backyard, which was a total swamp. You'll see in the bottom of the picture, there's a rock wall. The neighbor made that rock wall to keep the water back. We put in a catch basin on the right-hand side. It's piped behind my pool and out to the street to catch any extra water that would come through. Now that he cleared it, the next picture shows what it looks like now. He's filled it in 3 times. He's put rocks all the way around the edges. And he forced all the water onto my property now.
Is this picture 6 or 9 you're referring to?
The third one in the packet.
Yeah, this might be out of order.
Yeah, let's stick with those.
Oh.
Here you go. Here you go.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. So tough when they're in a string like that, to be able to turn them 90 degrees.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if
I don't. Oh, yeah.
does it help? It might help.
Okay, so we can see the circle.
So you can see the big rocks, and then the swamp that's still behind there goes around those big rocks, and it was dumped onto my side property. Where the filter is now, we had to build that up 6 inches. And I had to put the retaining wall, you can see that by the fence, to see if I could hold the water back.
Do you know what number your neighbor's property is?
19.
19, so 19.
I'm 17, he's 19.
All right, so, go ahead, continue.
The next picture in the packet here is the back view. You can see how much water is back there.
It's okay. I'll slowly scroll through them.
We had to dig a trench and try, and that's the next picture. My fence is falling over. There's just so much water. The last picture you can see, and I think Annie, you have that too, of the stone wall. Yeah, pretty much. You can see all the water that's right there.
Mhm.
And it's a good 6, 9 inches deep. Every single time it rains. I have a video that I want to show you.
Are you hooked up to Zoom? Or,
No,
or you can, that's it.
that's coming down the side yard. You can replay it.
Mhm.
That's the force. Every time it rains, I've got a raging river down the side of my yard.
And it was never like this
No,
before.
no, not before he cleared it.
Yeah.
When did he clear it?
He started clearing it 5 years ago. He's filled in, I should say. He kept filling it in, and then pushed everything around. Started 5 years ago. This was 2 years ago.
This video was 2 years ago?
No, this was just the other day. But I've had this problem for 2 years. I went to the Board of Health. Vinny came out because I had 9 inches of water next to my pool. Mosquitoes, it was a hazard. He couldn't do anything. The inspector came out. He said that a permit was not pulled. He couldn't do anything. Then there was 7 guys that came out. There was 3 from the DPW, I think. We had 2 1-by-1 catch basins at the end of the street between our yard. That wasn't enough. They agreed that they would put in a big, huge one, which they did. They did a great job, dug up the road and everything, put in a nice catch basin. They told him to pipe it in. He won't pipe it in. He won't do anything.
Mhm.
He has a sump pump coming from his house, just halfway down, and then it goes right down my land again.
That's this picture, right?
Yeah, he moved that to the front of his house.
Oh, that's not on your house, that's.
That's his house that goes down on my land.
Great.
Question, these are tagged defendant and plaintiff, is there a lawsuit?
There was.
And
When I
what's
went to the Board of Health, I was talking to Dennis Rain and he said, this sounds civil to me. So I said, okay, I had $10,000 worth of damages. My pool liner ripped, caved in 3 years in a row. I took him to small claims court. The limit is $7,000. I sued him, I won. He appealed it. He got a lawyer. Went through everything again, he lost again. I got awarded the $7,000 plus court costs and everything else. Haven't seen a penny to the day. And he will not pipe in his water, and I just have a raging river coming down my side of the yard.
Okay, the area that I think that if we have any jurisdiction will be whether the work that he's done is in fact in resource area. Otherwise, I think it does Dennis Springs, or whoever you talk to at town, that it probably remains a civil, if somebody's negatively impacting your property in any way, whether it's chopping down trees or building a wall, or trespassing on your property line by doing something encroaching. That probably is a civil matter, but if it is the work that he has done was not permitted and was done in the resource area, then I think that we may have some ability to have some participation in trying to figure out a solution or bring it to
Enforcement.
potentially an enforcement order, whether that will have any effect, frankly, if it's from what you just described. He's unwilling to do versus willing to go to court and so forth and pay money for a lawyer for. He may not do. The enforcement order is something that the town has exercised, conservation commission has exercised, if somebody is violating resource area and they don't respond or respond negatively or other types of.
It does go on their deed, Mike. That's about.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say,
that's the biggest
except-
leverage we
except
have
going on the
right there,
deed,
so they'll never be able to refinance or sell the home.
I already did that.
Right. Well, the enforcement order is something that.
I put that on his house. I have a judgment lien that was put on his house.
Right, which may be the same as in net effect as an enforcement order by the Conservation Commission, which goes in the county records of deeds and so forth, as Neil said, so that would impact a potential sale, but frankly, a person.
But if he doesn't sell for 20 years, then.
Exactly. So other than that, even if we can issue an enforcement order, if it makes sense to do so, we check in. The first thing we need to do is verify what the resource area is behind the property is, yours and his, and where it extends to, what it is, whether it's real wetlands, the remaining areas that aren't disturbed, because obviously what's been totally landscaped away by him is going to be not be able to verify what that is for a resource area, because he's, putting in rocks or backhoeing or whatever. But if there's areas that we can determine that, both between GIS and property records and so forth, we'll try to investigate that, I think, because we want to determine if it's a violation of resource.
Okay.
Once that happens, we can assess what recommendations we do, but if you've already got a lien on the property, frankly, an enforcement order, if that's what we decide to do, is, and makes sense to do, is not gonna have much more effective, if not any.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's not much he can do because he's on social security and a pension and his wages are unattachable. That's what he's writing.
Well, he was able
When
to move
was-
all that soil over there.
The what?
He was able to move all the soil there. I don't see why he can't move back.
Well, yeah.
When was the lawsuit first initiated?
2 years ago in June.
So sometime's gone by since that was,
So the water in the video, is that coming out of this pipe or
No,
from
that's
another
just
source?
from all the coming around all the rocks that he put the big boulders. All the wetland that's back there is now just coming right around to my property,
How long have you lived there?
94. We built our house.
The
He's
water-
been there 6 years. The water's been there, but the old owner he didn't clear the property, he didn't fill it in, he had a brick wall. And that kept back like 90% of it,
kept it back where though?
kept it behind the wall,
In the wetland.
in the wetlands.
And so it eventually flows somewhere. It doesn't usually just sit in a stagnant pond.
It just sat there.
Just out there. So
Yeah.
you got no flow behind your house into the next person or anything
No.
else. It didn't go carry
No.
on beyond there with that brick wall.
No, and there is a trench that goes behind everyone's house on Bellstone, catching the water for 126. We had the land planning guy come out there because he was one of the witnesses in court, and it was totally dry. So the water is between the trench and his house. So it's on his property. He owns an acre and a half, I think.
The reason I asked the questions, one of the problems that we're having here locally, not only us, but is separating problems created by humans versus nature. With the grossly abnormal amount of rain in the last 2 years, and I'm suffering this in my own house. I've been in the same house for 24 years, and in the last 2 years, it's pressing up through the garage floor between the wall and the floor in the last 2 years. Never happened before.
Yeah.
The end of my yard would dry. I'm about a wetland. Would dry and I could mow that area, not the wetland, but the end of my yard. That is now backed up and it's flowing up through my driveway. That's only been the last 2 years. You would be one of probably half a dozen instances we've heard in the last 2 weeks of, Wenger's another one where the amount of water flow has created significant issues for many people. And we're trying to identify, is this just nature? Is it man? Is it a combination of both, which is probably reality?
I'd say it's a combination of both because, I mean, the water was always there.
Right.
And since he filled it in and swirled it around to my property, that's where the problem, that's why there's a problem now. Like I said, it used to have a brick wall and it kept it back there. And then we put in a catch basin to catch anything that was coming through. So I mean, we worked with the neighbor. We knew there was water. Nature. We knew
It
that.
sounds like he's uncooperative.
He extremely uncooperative.
So just to reinforce what Steve was saying and also bring it back home, I think, if we can do anything, it would be regulating or determining whether he's impacted a resource area, which he shouldn't have done without coming to us for a variance permit, and notice of intent, some sort of regulatory approval.
Okay.
If he's done, if we find A, it's a wetlands, B, it's within his property and the area he's done work has impacted the wetlands, especially in a negative way, we can take some steps which might include enforcement order. We might start off with just a letter letting him know that that's something he shouldn't have done. He needs to restore it. And as you said, he may not be able to financially or willing to,
Oh, no, financially, he's fine.
or willing to, whatever the situation may be. In which case, if we don't get a response, we can probably our final step pretty much legally that we can do is a notice of intent. Enforcement order.
Okay.
And that, as you said to us now, which we didn't know, may have already been in effect have done by the courts. And so we may not have a lot of authority to be able to do it. The only other thing I was gonna say was I know you have the DPW involved. If what he is doing is causing the water to channel and go around and then come out onto the road, it's not as direct as somebody discharging a basement sump pump, for example, out onto the road, which is illegal. I know a lot of people, because of their flooding in their basements, is forced to do whatever, and they're running hoses out in the street. DPW will come by and stop people from doing that if they're doing it, because we've had a number of cases come up in the last 2 weeks, as Steve said, people being negatively affected. They're just trying to deal with the water that's affecting them in different ways. But, I don't want to promise something that we may not be able to deliver on, but we do need to look into,
I'll take any help I can get.
sure, well, and we're, and we're
Mike?
willing. We're not gonna, yeah, go ahead, Neil.
What year's the house built again?
94.
And the next door neighbor, and number
I think it
19 was
he
built?
was a year before me, so he
So,
moved in 93 maybe. But the neighbor moved in 6 years ago.
So
The
we
current
may
neighbor
have,
moved in 6
but since it's within the last 20 years, we should have pretty good records somewhere on the permits to build these houses in the first place.
Right.
We may have the records of what was permitted and what the conditions were at that time to compare.
I'd also be interested if there's anything in the records about, that far back, about the trench that you mentioned was.
Oh, you have 3 plans, but none of them were ever finalized.
Right, but
They
if
came
some,
out with the 3 plans.
if
for my
somebody
house.
put in a trench behind, that trench is dry, that should be on a set plan somewhere. They don't dig trenches just randomly. They have
No.
to have-
No, but they
And
did have.
there's a
they brought
drainage-
out three
there's
three
a-
plans.
There's a drainage easement in between that runs the length of the property in between 15 and 17 too, by the way.
Yeah, every couple houses has one.
Yeah, it's about a 40-foot drainage easement, or a 20-foot drainage easement, which is pretty significant.
And there's pipes that run from the trench out to the street, like every third house.
But the trench, as you said, is dry now,
Right.
there's water
Yeah,
beyond that.
so there's
because
no
that-
water coming from 126, it's between the
It's
trenches.
too bad in a way that they can't get the water from the wetlands that's flooding your neighbor, your house and so forth, just that area of wetland into the trench somehow, and then have it go out to where it's.
No, the
supposed-
trench is behind it.
I understand, it's too bad that they can't do it. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that, because it sounds like they've got drainage lines and other easements, for drainage swales and so forth already in place to go from the trench, but it's just not for whatever hydrological reasons. It may be that if, as we're looking into this other project that we just, we're discussing Fox Run Road, the issue there, that if we engage some sort of engineering service for the town, I'm not promising yet because I don't know what the scope is and what the involvement is, that maybe that service could provide some input. A hydrologist could say, Val, I see the situation here and the best thing you can do is X, Y, and Z. I don't know what that would be, but maybe we can try to enlist, sort of double up on our engineering efforts there in that particular way.
Well, I've asked him to pipe it in and he just refuses.
Yeah, but maybe a hydrologist has some
When
other
you say
suggestions.
pipe it into where?
To the the new catch basin that they put into the street. That was the point of the DPW, was putting in the big, huge catch basin so that he could pipe in all that water. Put in a big trench with rock and a solid pipe, and that would take it right down. Right now, it goes across my front yard and across my driveway, and I can't mow my grass until June.
Okay, well, I think that thank you for your presentation, because that's been real helpful, and pictures were excellent for giving some illustrations of that in context. I think that we want to,
Can we make a site visit?
what's that?
Can we make a site visit?
We don't really have a notice intent or anything like that. We can do an informational site visit if we wanted to. This isn't an official hearing yet because we don't have anything that we know has been brought up. I mean, nobody said there's a violation. I mean, you point out there's issues and there's wetlands there, but we have to determine first off where the wetland is, but.
Would you
Yeah.
mind if I stopped by?
Yeah, if the commission
Right.
members want to
Is there
get.
anything? to
I've probably
see
had
this time of
15
year?
people come out.
You what?
I've probably had 15 people come out from all different departments here.
Is there anything to see this time of year?
The snow, I mean, you can see the water and everything
The
behind.
video was like a couple days ago, you said, right?
Yeah,
So. there's
I think
obviously-
last week maybe.
Maybe after the snow melts too.
I'll ask you for your phone number. You don't have to broadcast it.
Okay.
We're live. You write it down and hand it to me. That would be
Do you
good.
have a pen?
I do.
I'll write it on your.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. and
Thank you very
we
much
will-
for
we will
listening.
continue to talk. You can check in with Hannah for an update as to,
Yeah.
and she may ask you for some more information, background information.
We have 11 minutes.
Yes, thank you. 11 minutes. Okay, 77 Lakeshore Drive, you're next. Or,
That's me.
Yep.
come on up, yeah, so you can hear and be heard. The microphones are,
Be shy.
the microphones from the Zoom broadcasting and, camera, whatever, are in the ceiling there, but you don't have to look up. You just being there is good.
Okay,
So,
I had a tree fall,
sorry, could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Jillian Holmes.
Okay, and you are at 77?
Yep, so
Lakeshore
I
Drive.
own 77 Lakeshore Drive.
Okay.
The tree in this picture is on my neighbor's property, which is 75.
Mhm.
During our last storm, or our second to last storm on December 18th, the tree essentially split in half
Mhm.
and fell onto a rock wall into the water and on a wooden structure that we have in the water. You can kind of see the wooden
There's
dock.
nothing under the branches there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Long story short, because of the damage and not just the tree falling in the yard, we put in an insurance claim. And we had a tree company come out to give an estimate to remove the tree, and they said we need, conservation approval.
Because it's in
So here I
a
am.
resource area.
Some of it is in the water, some of the tree, and some is not. So in order to, for us to move forward with the claim, tree company needs approval from the conservation, committee. So here I am.
Pretty straightforward, I think. Commission members have any questions? I have one or two, but
I would recommend let's get this approved so she can get the hazard out of the way.
We want to make sure that they are using appropriate measures for the resource.
Neil?
Yeah, no, good, all good.
Yeah, I think the only thing the commission would like to have, as Arian pointed out, is if you can provide have the tree company that's gonna do the work, tell them we approve it, but we want to know in advance how they plan to remove it. Are they gonna bring a crane in? Are they just gonna walk down and cut it up by hand and remove it? Something, simple narrative, doesn't have to be major. The information about the company, and hopefully they're bonded in case some issue comes up. That's more for you as a homeowner. You probably wanna make sure that happens in case somebody gets hurt, but this seems to be pretty straightforward.
Is there boating activity?
Obviously, we want as much of it removed from the water as is, you know, possible. All the
Yeah, I mean,
little, all the
it's
little
all-
branches and everything.
Right, it's all private property, and what you don't see, the steps that lead down to the water, and there's, a beach area. So of course, we would want to clear it up, that's
Right.
where, you know,
Did the
children play and.
tree company, you talked to people in the area, tree company?
I wasn't there when they came by,
Okay.
but I talked to their administration, who said,
So-
well, we've already been by, but we can't do anything or provide a quote until you talk to conservation.
In addition, to providing how their methodology, just have them confirm in writing that they will be removing all of the tree debris from the water, branches.
Yep, and that's what they do, I've used them in the past.
We expect that they would, but just have them in writing so that if they didn't, you just point back that to them. And I
Is
think-
there a specific method of approval that they need, like a letter or?
That was gonna be my question to you guys, to see what you guys, provide. I would think a letter, I don't know what you generally use.
One.
I think what Ariana is asking is, will the tree company come in and take the tree out, having heard you tell them that we've said it's okay in an open meeting, where there are minutes to be posted in a couple of weeks? Or is something more in writing necessary in order for you to have that happen?
They didn't specify, but if I had to guess, I would think they would want something in writing,
I would
just
think
proving that I was here.
Alright, I
it's easy enough for Hannah to draft a letter with
don't think we,
meeting minutes and send it.
yeah, I don't think we even need a motion. Yeah, you think we need a motion even on this, or just we're all in agreement that Hannah can write a letter? I mean, this isn't a formal hearing for this per se, it's informational at this point in time. We don't have a,
We're all approved, correct?
but we don't have one on, record, what I'm saying is, so we vote, I don't think we need a vote because we don't have anything on the minutes, I'm not sorry, on the agenda as actually being a request for termination, applicability or anything. I think in this pretty case, it's so straightforward. We have done something very similar for Stephen Road. There was a pine tree that was gonna potentially fall and had deteriorated in the backside. They had an arborist come and provide a letter saying, taken out before it falls in this person's house. And we gave verbal approval at that point in time. I don't think that's, so.
And parallel something to that.
Well, anyway, okay, so if the commission wants to give verbal consent at this point in time, not knowing that we need a formal motion. Or if they want to make a motion, I'm,
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second,
And to have Hannah draft a brief letter, that says that we approve it so that you have that to give to them.
with the request in there for them to provide methodology and confirmation that they're gonna remove all debris from the water. Okay.
Perfect.
So moved from Ariana, anybody
Second.
second, Steve second, thank you, any other discussion? Okay, let's have a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Neil's aye online, thank you. All right, Opposed? Nobody? Okay, unanimous. Just reach out to Hannah in the next couple days and she'll get you something drafted up and I'll promise too soon
Yeah.
because I'll do this.
Okay,
But yeah.
thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Next.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, I'm just gonna speak for 15 Lakeview because, I'll just show this real quick. 15 Lakeview, water going into Silver Lake. And, it's destroyed their driveway and,
It's really destroyed the driveway.
yes, so I'll show the pictures. Long story short, tomorrow, me and DPW are going out there. They are proposing doing a Cape Cod berm right here so that the water stops going this way and it starts going this way.
Right.
And that's it in a nutshell.
How long has that pavement been there?
How long is the catch basin in there?
No, the pavement.
The
That looks
pave,
like a design issue from the beginning.
oh, I don't
Now,
know.
that blacktop doesn't look very old.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the blacktop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks like the paving company didn't finish.
So I think that's a quick and very straightforward fix. That will help the
Yeah.
homeowner.
It should have been
We're only-
great. It should have been graded so the water was going into that catch basin in the first place.
Right.
Right, and it's that, one other thing I didn't say is that it's been on the DPW's list to hit. I think maybe like this summer or something like that, it just kind of kept on getting put off and then it got brought to me and there's been through discussion. We're now coming up with that solution.
And we got involved in it because it was water running into resource area, Silver Lake and
Like-
and
Actively going
So,
into the lake itself.
runoff.
There we
Yeah.
go, yeah,
So that's the reason we're involved with it, but the DPW, if they're gonna handle it, which it should be, and by a sheet full
I
down the
asked
road,
them,
then
yeah.
that's, I think, fine. That's good information. Thank you.
In personal opinion, should be 2 catch basins there.
That's DPW thing. And that may have been why they put the DPW thing on the top of a pavement there.
And
Maybe
I think that one could get overrun and that house in the background was catch it.
okay,
Okay, go ahead.
just to give Tom like 3 minutes, I'm so
That's
sorry.
fine. Do you want me to come up there or just yell from my chair? I don't care.
I don't know how well they can hear you from the back.
Okay.
So I prefer if you can come up if you want to be recorded for the record.
Sure.
I can show you your pictures though.
Yeah, I don't know how good they are. I actually sent them to my son and he sent them. Okay. Okay.
What are we looking at now?
26 Kennedy.
My name is Tom Wilson.
That was,
I live at 26 Candlelight Lane. And I'm here because we have, I've done reading and different things. It's a swamp. It's conservation and if you come down the hill to our thing, it's a giant circle. We are at the bottom of that hill along with 3 other houses. One rents out, so he doesn't care. The other one just,
so you're the most concerned person.
yes, because I care about this and, I have nothing but time in my hands. I'm retired, so, and it shouldn't be like this because, our house, when we got the plans, originally says, sump pump. There's no sump pump in that house. It was given I was given okay to live there, whatever the term is, but the thing is, the rain garden, I didn't even know about it till I moved in. Okay, rain garden, it is what it is. But that is so low in that point, it's just holding a cup of water tilted as, it's gonna always come out 4 houses. You can see, if you stand out in my back porch, you can see the higher levels. It's crazy. Why it didn't even pick up on it earlier before this? I'm waiting for alligators to pop their heads up out of the swamp.
So-
I swear to God, it's like Louisiana in my backyard.
He's an abutter to the parcel C that we were talking about last meeting, and this was just brought up, I don't know, we started talking a week ago, so. I have one quick question for you is, do you know when these pictures were taken?
Some of them were taken. Those ones you probably have more recent, but there was always been water and it would always breach right at my left-hand corner. So where I want to put my pool, I have no fence either. So we've been there almost 3 years. My daughter's screaming for,
Do you have a rain garden that was originally designed for the back of your property?
yes, and they are not, they
I
are
think that's
not
the-
worth the dirt that they use for.
Right, I just want to make sure this wasn't one of the areas that they did away with when we had the meeting last time talking about area C and the bridging area that was created between the two resource areas.
No.
To make up for the fact several rain gardens were taken out of the project with the approval of the Conservation Commission because of that bridging. Okay,
Not that I'm aware.
so just so you're aware, we are aware that this center area, that we call it Area C,
Yeah.
parcel C, is still within the required
For your bond, for their bond.
bonded situation with the developer. We have been addressing it via partial release of the bonds that they've been requesting or not. We're talking to our town council about that. We haven't had feedback from them as to what's appropriate to do or not do legally for releasing or not releasing partial bond. You're bringing this up as timely because we want to make sure that it's functioning properly. That's one of the reasons for the bond. So without extending this beyond your pointing this out at this point in time, I'll just say that we are working on this, continue to work with Hannah because she is actively working with the both the not the applicant, the developer and the Conservation Commission and our attorney, and we're working actively to make sure that this is working properly, and obviously there's some situations they're gonna have to come back and address with us. So
She's a fine addition to this team, I'll tell you. that, right?
will wholeheartedly agree with that on camera.
All of you, I appreciate everyone's help, I really
So
do.
thank you for bringing this to our attention because your timing is perfect.
No, that's what I-
We haven't made the decisions yet, and
Well, the only thing I'm good at is my timing, I guess.
So are we somewhat concluding that the rain garden is not performing?
well, not only the rain garden is not performing, I think, but if there's that much water being held there and it's not able to be directed anywhere else, then there's maybe some more fundamental problems with their parcel C. Because that's the lowest point, the water.
Can I just ask something? Sure. This is just I'm not a specialist in anything, but it is so off, like the high and the low. The only thing I could see is some type of, when I say like a retaining wall, nothing fancy stones, pour foundation, things like this, the things to put foundation in. With try and just fill it all in with like a little beach wall. It can go up to where the high points meet the low points. And that'll be resolved, I guarantee you. It'll make the other things work like they're supposed to, because one rain garden goes right into another, which is totally against
Right,
the,
that's not where they're
the way it's supposed to do it.
Okay, well, that's very helpful. We will probably get some expert opinions on top of that, but it's good to have your input with the idea of a wall may become part of the solution that has to happen, but we're gonna make sure the developer is made aware of some of this information, in these pictures, so they don't think it's a done deal.
Is this a man-built rain garden?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
part of the development for each of the houses, they had put in ring, or not
And I'll
every,
say
The
for the
developer
record,
excavated it and created it.
yes.
say
Yes.
for the record that we were not really liking the plans that we were seeing, but they got a superseding order from the CP.
Seems as if Mass DEP likes visiting Bellingham anyway.
I think that CPs will understand.
I gotta bring some more phones, I don't know. I think I have you folks, you folks are good, I'm telling you, but it's just like, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll get out of here. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your
I
time.
do appreciate it. Thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we were going to hold on that, the parcel C thing.
They actually asked me not tonight.
Mark Allen.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
no,
was like,
I-
fine, we're out of time.
That's fine. We can talk about what the butter has brought up to us because they came to us,
Right.
but we're not gonna discuss the project, right? Okay. What was your other one? You had the
No, we've hit all of them except,
Friendship and MACC.
yeah, MACC, their conference is March 2nd or 3rd.
Anybody have any interest in going, participating online?
I'm
or
sorry,
person?
wasn't there?
MACC workshops.
I'll be going in
And
person.
conference, the annual conference from Mass Association. of
2nd or 3rd.
Foundations.
whichever
When
one
is the
Saturday,
date?
March.
Hannah,
March.
Yeah.
What?
It's 2nd or 3rd. It's a Saturday.
is this the emails we've been getting?
Yeah, March 2nd is a Saturday.
Do you get MACC emails?
Yeah,
Then yes.
Yeah, you're probably getting invitations from them to sign up. It's a
and
virtual.
what decision do you need?
No, it's bring up your radar if you want to sign up. You
Okay.
check with Hannah as far as reimbursement. You're covered for costs to go there or to attend by Zoom. But you need to start thinking about whether you're gonna do that because you gotta register and you gotta do that in advance. So
Um,
checking and
then-
internship.
Yeah, so we just officially this morning brought on 2 interns. One's from Northeastern, 3rd year. And then the other one is a sophomore at Stonehill College and they're excited. And so they're both gonna be involved in Conservation commission as well as other.
Will they be attending these meetings,
Yes,
both together or?
they might arrive separately.
Otherwise,
So
They've
just
never met.
the other part of the picture was we did approve a certain amount of money to the select, which is from our conservation funds, which the selectmen released and agreed to. Hannah has, very creatively come up with the idea instead of going one person for 6 months, because we've already lost the month of January, to give the applicant, the internship, candidates slash, people that we hire, a chance to have summer jobs because they met important to them. We go for 4 months with 2 people for basically the same amount of money, a little bit less hours for each of them per week, and we get 2 people for the same price as we would have had one for a selected one. I think it's a really good idea.
Are you
So,
gonna be digitizing old documents?
Only if I run out of other things for them to do.
all right, is there anybody have any other business? If not, I really do need to jet out. I am quite annoyed to be able to. Is anybody else here in the room for anything in particular?
Well, yeah, we had come, on someone's advice, come to the Conservation Commission, weren't sure of the process. We live on Lake Street, we're by the Prospect Hill development that's
Oh,
going in. And our road's been flooding and the roads have been shut down a couple of times because of the weather and they've done a bunch of clearing and we don't know, to one of the points earlier, how much of it is environmental and how much of it is being, the road flooding is being caused by the clearing that they're doing on the property. So
wait,
We did-
they're clearing right now? Like you've
they've
seen,
cleared, they've cut the roads, they've cleared a fair amount.
like, since the summer?
I haven't seen anything active since probably, September, October.
Where along Lake Street is this?
So the end of Lake Street is Prospect Street on the north, I guess that would be the northern end of
South Maple Prospect.
it. South Maple and Prospect come in,
It's a very
Prospects in Franklin, where
Right, right.
the exit of this
Yeah,
development
so
goes.
it's the upper end of Lake Street, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's where the culvert failed in that area and so forth recently.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it did, yep.
The town line is right in that area, as you know, and I'm not sure whether we're in Bellingham or not, because.
So the area that we're talking about is in Bellingham, you can confirm it, we know it, I know the area extremely well. And,
Road was shut down for a little while.
yeah, the road, Lake Street in Bellingham was shut down periodically. So we're, I was gonna reach out to DEM just to ask, and someone in the town had suggested, why don't you come to the Conservation Commission?
It's affecting the road.
Wetlands.
If it's affecting the road and flooding the road, you said occasionally, I would start with the DPW and see what they say too, because they know us and they will reach out to us too, as they have already for other projects where there's been flooding impacting areas in the neighborhoods and so forth. Since it starts with the road impact, tree clearing done illegally, legally on wetlands, resource area or not, we can move forward on determining that, but you definitely want to reach out. Have you reached out to the DPW yet?
No,
Okay, I would suggest reach out to,
Talk to me. Have we talked?
Where's the
We have in the
clearing, where's the clearing
Okay.
taking
I've talked
place?
to
where is the, we have Neil online asking where the clearing is taking place.
if you come in from Prospect Street and you enter through there, they just built several houses. You
On the
see
Franklin side-
road
on the
that goes
Franklin
into-
side?
Correct.
Yep, correct, and then it heads into Bellingham's where the
Yeah, but
property is.
The town line is right down the middle of the road, so
Yeah, you can
Right.
see the markers, there are
if it's
stone
on the,
markers.
if
that
it's
are
on the
there.
east side of the road, it's in Franklin.
Correct,
Is this clearing take place on the west side or the east side?
there's been road clearings in Bellingham.
So on the east side,
That would be the west,
west side. I mean.
west side. The west side of the road, the left, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess you can't say left.
yeah, I know,
As you're going
North,
towards,
southeast,
as you're
west,
going towards the recycling center, it's on the left.
correct.
Yes, okay, so that's the
Correct, and they've got quite a decent amount of road clearing that they've cut in there.
Yeah, there is a project that was being proposed and has not been approved, I'm not sure if it's that or something else. They put in all those houses along Prospect Street. We'll have to take a look and see if we can determine and maybe do a drive down there now that the road's about open again, for driving and, see if we can determine better what's there. Can you give your contact information,
Sure.
Hannah?
Happy to,
And
Yeah.
Yep, I'll
we'll
do
do
it
that
after
after the meeting.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And just so you're aware, there's a planning board, there's a special planning board meeting tomorrow night. The developer has requested that they change the plans from building the original, was it 1920
Oh,
homes?
we're very
And
much
now
with
they
this.
propose 53 units, 156.
People tomorrow.
Yeah, so, and that's tomorrow night at the
Interesting.
planning board meeting.
Yep.
Says there's,
He
yeah,
has
there's-
not filed with us yet.
yeah, and there's
Yeah,
legal.
I called, yeah, I asked this, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your time and bringing that.
Yeah.
Is anybody else who in the room here not? Here for that? Okay. I do have to leave, so I want to see if there's anything else pressing, otherwise we're gonna take a motion, close the meeting, adjourn the meeting. Motion. Thank you, Steve. Second, I am. Thanks.
It is moving.
Yeah, well, Steve said I moved. Okay, any other discussion? No, all in favor of adjourning the
Oh,
meeting?
it is.
I will do the minutes at some point in time. We just got them for the 10th or whatever the last meeting was.
Yeah,
January.
we're
So I think
pretty up to
pretty
date.
current. So, Neil, that was an affirmative for adjourning the meeting?
No, I want to stay.
Sorry, I do have to go. Thank you all.
Gonna get you out that
Later.
Hey, Neil,
Thank you.
Yo,
did you sign your document? Oh, thank you.
I don't have the document, Hannah.
Neil?
I don't have the document, Hannah.
I looked at your pictures.
I am going to say